Oh man. The quest for longer hair continues. JM Herrera, welcome to the stream. Told you told you I was gonna be here. Alright, so let me just make sure that everything is hunky dory. I do think I'm probably a little bit too close to the camera. I generally don't like to have the mic in view so much, but from this angle, kind of going off of maybe here. How does this sound? Sounds good? Let's see if maybe I could use my YouTube app to kind of get a general sense of how it's looking. Oh, that's cool. It fed it right into me. It fed it right into me. My algorithm. So, I don't want to spend too much time with deliberation because we frankly do have a lot to talk about today on the Dark Spider cast. It's probably the closest to an intro that you guys are probably going to get from me. Brian's new dishwasher, welcome. It does look, you know what's strange? On OBS, I don't look too bad in terms of brightness, in terms of like actually providing detail to the background, but when I look at it on my phone, it looks rather dark. Like the shadows are way too pronounced. Let me see if maybe I could add a filter, if it lets me add a... See, and that's the thing, is like color correction is actually on. So what, should I crank... Whoa, what the fuck just happened? What the... That's... like... Okay, that's probably what was happening. It's because now it's even worse, but now it's way too much right there. Yeah. The parameters, hold on. This was normal. Okay, there we go. Maybe I could do that. I have to do it one by one instead of, because it has a slider, but the slider goes way, like there's too many gaps in the intervals whenever I slide it. I have to like manually click the arrows to go up by just a couple without going too crazy. All right, there we go. And maybe up the contrast just a tinge. Like I said, I have to do it one by one, otherwise it's going to go crazy like it did before. Welcome, Brian's new dishwasher. Skelly Bones, welcome. How do I look so far? Because like I said, I'm looking at myself from the phone. Definitely looks a little bit better on the phone. It looks almost one-to-one to what I see on the computer. Thank God I'm not balding back there. Okay. So far, yeah, because if I spend too much time on this, it's gonna be like a character creator on a game where I'm like, all right, it's time to start the game. Otherwise, I'm never gonna get ready. Cool. It's weird because the stream looks different from my phone to the TV. What do you mean by that? And then Brian's new dishwasher. I'm kind of surprised you haven't picked up Lego Batman now. I have beaten Lego Batman. It's actually been over a week and a half since I beat Lego Batman because I pulled up. I'm typing the script right now for the video essay because I am going to be doing a video on it. And it's going to be a what? The audio stream's current bitrate is 0. Why is it telling me that? That's weird. Yeah, I'm typing up the script for the video essay because at this point to do a static, a general review, it's way too late. The game's been out for 3 weeks now. Well, I guess it's not terribly late, but my channel, the way I look at it is that my channel is not big enough to just poop out a standard review for Lego Batman. If I'm gonna go all the way with the Lego Batman review, it needs to be like a full-blown critique that stands out. And to me, I feel like it needs to go into the other side of the spectrum with like a full-length critique that can be teetering at an hour to an hour and a half, breaking down Lego. That's the irony. That's the joke. That's the appealing hook, is the fact that I'm going so deep into a Lego game because so far no one has done it. Or to, look at Lego Batman the way that we have all these, like, because if you type in Arkham video essay, or some kind of video essay for Arkham Knight or Arkham City or whatever, I believe, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a YouTube channel named White Light. Hold on. Can you guys hear me? Let me make sure you guys can hear me. OBS is saying that you can. Okay, I can hear the ad. Oh, now I can. I don't know why the YouTube app was not. Okay, I don't know why the YouTube app was not. And then YouTube is telling me that the bit rate is 0, and I'm like, why? So I was getting kind of scared. But okay, that was weird. Okay. Um, yeah, if you guys are familiar with a YouTube channel called White Light, who I love, I absolutely love White Light. I look forward to his videos. He's supposedly, allegedly working on a video essay for Arkham Knight, the actual Arkham Knight game, that he's been teasing now for the better part of a year, I think now. So I'm like, how long is this thing? He even said that it's going to be longer than the Arkham City essay, because the Arkham City essay, guys, it's 3 hours long. It's on YouTube channel, and I watched it all. Granted, in parts, across like 2 weeks or so, while watching it going to bed. But sorry, hold on. Chia seed from this morning's breakfast. Sorry, got stuck in here somewhere. But he has a 3-hour video essay on Arkham City. And if he's saying that the Arkham Knight essay is going to be even longer, so, and he's not the only one. There's a bunch of other channels that go deep into Arkham lore. So I thought that a good gimmick for a Lego Batman essay is to really treat it like an Arkham game, because since they're trying to touch and kiss the blueprint or the skeleton of an Arkham game while not being an Arkham game, then I might as well handle a critique / review of it like that, right? So I've been thinking about it, and I was like, how do I tackle this? And to be honest, I'll probably do it chapter by chapter. There's 6 chapters in Lego Batman, and I'm probably going to break down how I feel about each chapter as it goes along. So like Act 1 of the script is chapters 1 and 2, Act 2 is 3 and 4, Act 3 is 5 and 6. With my closing thoughts, and however long the video essay ends up being, if it, God forbid, ends up being an hour and a half on a Lego Batman game, screw it. It's a video essay. This is meant for long form watching. Because like I said, at this point, all the reviews are already out. If I wanted to do like a very quick impromptu review, I would do it if I knew that it would do well on the channel. But right now, if I'm going through with the video game review of Lego Batman, when already so many other people have already covered it, so many outlets have already covered it, sorry, I just got an email. Whatever. It's not related to any of this. It's something much more personal, but it is what it is. But anyways, yeah, everybody already did reviews on Lego Batman and whatnot, and that's why I was like, Yeah, if I'm going all the way with a Lego Batman critique video, it needs to go a little bit beyond extreme, that it stands out, and that when people scroll through, be like, an hour to an hour and a half video on just Lego Batman? Why? And that's what it is, and it stands out and can maybe, you know, suck up a little bit of traction in virality. Um, that way instead of just being a generic review. You know what I'm saying? Because that's, that's the name of the game these days. If you want to grow subscribership, if you want to gain attention and stand out as a creator, that's the kind of thing that you have to do. Because I'm not IGN. I didn't get a code ahead of time. I didn't do any of that. Blackout Mike, welcome to the stream. Sounds like a good way to go about it. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The last Lego game I played was Lego Horizon. It was okay, like a 6. That's what I heard. I hope Lego Batman is better. So, okay, and obviously I mentioned my plans for the Lego Batman critique. I didn't actually say what my impressions and my personal opinion is on the game. I do think it's a good game. I definitely got smiles on my face when it came to the humor, when it came to being pretty much an encapsulated love letter, sort of lottery, lottery machine. You know that machine? I don't know what the official name for it is, but I know that they nickname it the one arm bandit, which is the slot machines at the Vegas where you pull it and you get the random things spiraling to, and your goal is to line them up. But I'm just saying, like, that's effectively what they do when it comes to elements, character portrayals, and story beats from across the pantheon of mainly live action Batman stuff. It's like 75 to 80% live action Batman stuff, and then a little bit of that 20 to 25% is a little bit of comic stuff. I'm actually kind of surprised that there was a particular comic background beat that they utilized. I was like, huh, okay, I dig that. Now that's only just one. That's why I kept it to like 20%, because most of the comic references in the game are frankly just that, references, Easter eggs, costumes. But there's never really like a full blown, like, we're gonna utilize this arc from the comics and bake it into the actual narrative cohesion of the game, except for, like I said, one, truly just one, and then that's it. Everything else just references. So it's predominantly the movie stuff, because that's what's most popular. With that said, it does get a little frustrating for me, and I have to emphasize on for me, where whenever you want to subconsciously do something very Arkham-esque, and because this game reminds you that it's a Lego game, it just wants to reach there, and it never does it. And one of those things for me is the mechanic of like this like rhythm that I even mentioned in my video essay for Arkham Knight during the 10-year anniversary video essay last year, where I mentioned that one of the most satisfying things about Arkham Knight is ziplining, gliding, diving, ziplining, gliding across all of Gotham in this very momentous, sort of dance-like progression or mechanic that just is just so satisfying. It's like ASMR. There's no way in hell you can do that here in Lego Batman. There's moments where he just doesn't want to like zipline to certain things that I'm like, I'm pretty certain you should be able to zipline to that, but the prompt wouldn't pop up. With that, that's also as a perfect segue to anyways. Yeah, like, you can't do that, and I was gonna use it as a segue to like a couple of times there were some glitches in the game. Nothing necessary. Well, actually, I think there was one where I had to restart because I got stuck. I'll have to review the footage because I did capture quite a bit of footage. Quite a bit. I think I captured all of it. My entire, I think it was like 25-hour playthrough. Um, a 25-hour playthrough that I definitely needed to put down, because that's another thing that the game does, is that, I saw a lot of reviews and a lot of little blurbs from reviews saying that, oh, there's plenty to do. And I'm over here like, there's plenty to do, but what you do in the game is, again, very Lego in terms of the side activities, the puzzles, what you need to build. It's very Lego centric and not so much Batman or even Arkham centric. There's truly only, and hopefully this isn't a spoiler, I'm going to keep it vague, but let's just say that in the truest sense of the term side quest, there's only really one. And everything else is just activities, you know, fodder stuff to then pad out that platinum trophy to do across Arkham. So, I mean, across Gotham. So even though they were boasting about the map being huge, and it truly is, and I love that ever so often something will catch your eye that's a reference to something that's a little bit on the nuanced side, something that's a bit more like a tribute to a character, an actor, or anybody that was fractionally involved, with Batman, is there, and it's cool to gaze at. But it's one of those things where after about an hour of side activity doing, you kind of get the gist of what you're doing, and at that point, it's just up to you to decide if you really want to go for that platinum or not, and that's it. And so, apart from that one singular narrative tied side quest, that's really about it. And after that, it's just a matter of like, do you want to get every suit? Do you want to get the platinum? Do you want to get a set amount of trophies, or what? And to me, I was thinking I kind of want to get every suit, but then I saw some suits that it was starting to get just a little trite. I'm like, I'm over it. And by that point, I had already beaten the main story, of which ends in a let's just say that I'm usually not this kind of guy, but it ends in a way where I'm like, let's look at those credits and see what kind of consulting firm worked on this game. I'm like, I got the in-art Batman Arkham Origins today. It's so good. Blackout Mike, where do you live? Because I did get the invoice from Bombasby on... When did I get it? I know I started. Here we go. The 8th. 4 days ago. I think it was Monday. Yeah, I got it on Monday night. So that was 4 days ago. I got 6 days left to respond to it, because they say that 10 days from the first email is how long you have to fulfill the invoice. But the reason for why I haven't fulfilled the invoice yet is because I actually got a response from InArt a couple days ago when I emailed them about a potential San Diego Comic-Con appearance. And they more or less reiterated what they've said before, which is that, much like the past couple of years, their intent is to come to Comic-Con again with the offsite event, and the details are TBD, to be determined. Inside of the email, they also reiterated that there might be a unit for me to cover of their Arkham Origins Batman, and it could be either the standard version or the battle damage version. So we're trying to work that out. And so that's why I'm like, I kind of need to know, because I got this invoice for Bombasby, and right now with money being so tight and being able to be allocated towards something else, I kind of need to know, are you guys sending one over? And if not, then okay, that's fine. Let me fulfill this Bombasby pre-order, or if not, then I could let this, or if you are sending one, then I could let go of this pre-order, and I get charged extra. So that's what I'm trying to iron out. CM Brock, welcome to stream. I don't get the hype for Lego games in general. Even with Batman, I couldn't just get myself to get it. No, I understand because they definitely shot themselves a little bit in the foot, and I feel like hype for this new game would have been higher if they haven't already done like what was it, like 3 Lego Batman games, and then on top of that, there's like one or two other called DC Heroes, and then there's the one supervillain game, the DC Supervillains with like Joker front and center, who's like tied to Batman. That's why I'm like, yeah, the saturation is up there. So I don't blame you. I would say, give yourself some time, but definitely at some point, um, check and see, check it out or get it at a discount. Because I will admit, $70. I'm glad I got it, but I don't blame anyone whatsoever for waiting on a sale for Lego Batman. I don't, because I've seen some posts and some comments of people saying Game of the Year, and I'm over here like, I don't know if I would throw it into a Game of the Year discussion, really, to be honest. That's coming from a Batman fan, an Arkham fan who loves the Arkham games. I've replayed them multiple times each. And I'm over here looking at Lego Batman like, yeah, it's good. There's parts of it that are great, and then there's other parts of it that are cringe. Okay, so I've deliberated long enough. Let's start off with our main topics because we got quite a bit to cover, and I keep pushing myself. Can't help by push myself forward. So let me adjust the camera so that in case I do this, I'm still kinda centered. Okay, so right there I would be good. So we got quite a few bits to talk about now. One of which I wanted to be a little leaning towards a bit of an appetizer because guess who's back? Back again. Dwight is back. Tell a friend. And whoever that friend is, I hope has pain medication on him because he looks like he's suffering. Can't tell if he's suffering because of the injury that he sustained or because of the fact that he has to stand next to Dan. Uh, so I'll admit, did I miss them announcing this stream because it kind of just sort of came out of nowhere, right? This was on, I think, also on the 8th, and it was somewhat of an impromptu Hasbro Pulse stream, right? Because I never got a tease. I follow Paternia, I follow Toy Shiz. I never saw an Instagram thing or anything that alluded to there being a Marvel Legends stream on Monday morning. Now, granted, it was intended to be a short one. I think the closest to something of a tease that I saw was that Dan Yun himself, uh, um, um, he, Dan Yun himself did, I believe, tweet the night before, kind of setting expectations for tomorrow's reveals. And when I saw tomorrow's reveals, to be honest, I took it at face value, and I thought that he just meant that he was gonna like tweet out a picture of a figure reveal, or Hasbro themselves to their official socials were gonna just tweet out the product images, the promo images, and that's it. I didn't know it was gonna be a full blown live stream, so that was pretty interesting. I'm gonna breeze on through. I just know that, and the reason for why I'll breeze on through is because not only is the stream kind of a little bit on the older side, like I said, it's been 4 days. Everybody has already kind of taken a gander or had enough time to gander at what it was on display here. But on top of that, I've watched it in its entirety, and like I said before, one of the things that did stand out to me is that the entire time it generally did look like Dwight was improved. I mean, just look at that face. Does that face really look happy to be there? That face looked happy to be there. And I understand that injury or not, these guys are very seldom happy or just feigning happiness while being on stream because, again, like I mentioned before, I watched the stream in its entirety. I didn't skip parts. It's mainly because of how short it was. It was 25 minutes. I thought to myself, okay, just watch the whole thing through while I edit, while I shoot some B-roll over here as I try to get this review of the Mattel DC Core figures to you guys, which is 99% done. I think I just need to plop in one shot put in some music, and we're good. Um, but I thought to myself, okay, I'll just watch this and just listen to it. And a couple of times, I can't remember the exact timestamps, but once again, they keep doing that whole like, trying to defend themselves before anyone even throws out any like accusations or confrontations or debates at them. It's that says so much about what kind of person you are by the fact that everyone's quiet, and then all of a sudden Dwight's like, "Hey, this Secret Wars Doctor Doom. If you guys already have it, okay, that's great. I'm happy for you." Like I said, it's the language that I'm like, God, that's so douchey. Why are you guys acting this way? And I'm willing to give Dwight the benefit of the doubt because, like I said, he's probably in pain, so he's lashing out. But Dan has always been a bit of a dick, really, for years. Um, it doesn't get any more douchey than pulling down your bangs underneath your cap. There's a reason for why you wear a hat. You're not a fucking kid anymore. Put that underneath your hat. So they always got that aura about them. And like I said, multiple times, they mentioned about how, I think even Dwight at one point even throws out the word getting harassed online for being asked, when is this figure coming? I'm not, putting down or ruling out the possibility that there are bad actors out there who are legitimately harassing these guys. I'm not saying he's not telling the truth. It's just that he opted to use that word first before saying, I've been asked or requested. You get what I'm saying? So I'm not saying he's not telling the truth, that he's probably getting harassed behind the scenes with messages about, like, why can't you make this figure? Why can't you make this? They probably are, and those people can fuck themselves. Those are bad actors, like I said. But it's also pretty telling on you to just flat out say, yeah, I'm getting harassed and bothered by it. I'm like, then leave. Follow Ryan and leave. Jesus. With that, like I said, rant out of the way, the reason for why they managed to sneak into my Google Keep of topics is because they actually showed some stuff that did kind of raise my eyebrows. More Deadpool and Wolverine stuff, so they're definitely not done with that line. But the one that stood out to me was the Calvarine, which I'll admit I kind of want. I do kind of want this. I'm not gonna lie, and it just boggles my mind. It flavors my gas. It gas my flavors, whatever you want to term it. That this is arguably, actually not even arguably, objectively, a way better Henry Cavill head sculpt than whatever the fuck McFarlane Toys keeps putting out with their BVS Superman. Look at this. And it just makes me wonder. The first thing that I thought of myself was that this is fun, this is quirky, this is silly, I kind of want it. It was a chance. Even Dan even mentions at one point that they weren't sure that they were actually in the clear to be able to make this, and they did. And to be honest, it's kind of working on me. This definitely feels like the kind of figure that if I see it in store, once it releases, I'll probably pick it up. With that said, what I'm looking forward to the most, though, is customizers who are going to take this head, try to remove the hair piece, which does look like it's its own separate piece, so you might be able to cut it off, and maybe, I don't know about the mutton chops, to be honest, but what I'm thinking people can do is cut off the head, like, skewer it off somehow, put on some kind of custom 3D printed mullet on this scale that's black, keep the mutton chops by paint them black, and maybe paint on some additional, mustache and goatee here at the bottom to fulfill the entire beard, or add some pieces to make it look like a full-blown beard. So add instead of subtract, that way you don't risk damaging the head sculpt, and then plop it on the black Superman body from the 2021 McFarlane Toys Snyder Cut black suit. Not the red and blue BVS one, but the black one from 2021 Justice League. And then you have a full-blown resurrected comic accurate Superman, but bearing a super strong Cavill resemblance. Either this head or the much more angry head. I don't know where the angry head went. That one right there. Imagine. I can kind of see it. Incredibly I definitely do not care for the X-Force one. The Wolverine pool looks kind of neat, but I feel like that's a figure that I can just admire from afar. It's fine. But yeah, surprisingly, the Cavalrine is actually kind of doing something for me. Pre-orders start July 9th. It's quite a ways off. That's literally like, I hope I don't forget because that's over a month. But at the same time, like I said, if you, this Cavalrine definitely feels more like the kind of figure that I would pick up in store and just pick it up then instead of having to go through the whole hassle of pre-ordering. Although maybe Amazon, since Amazon, you don't really pay. And then we can definitely skip this section because for some strange reason we're still getting Thunderbolts figures. You finally get, as a lot of people have liked to call it, Elaine from from Seinfeld. It's funny because Seinfeld. What's funny is that the smiling head looks more like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but then the neutral head, as some people have already mentioned, so credit to them, definitely looks more like Gillian Anderson from X-Files. So that's curious. But they also come with a Bob. It's basically just a black repaint of the existing Sentry figure. But of course, can't be a Marvel Legends live stream without some bullshit. Get ready for another No Way Home. And again, this is probably the first time where they started doing that whole, hey, if you already have yours, that's great. That's fine. This is not for you. That's basically what they kept using with that language. This ain't for you. All right? Stop getting mad. This ain't for you. And I'm like, yeah, but first of all, fuck you. We could say whatever we want. It's the internet. Second of all, in terms of within reason, what's logical in terms of critique. Obviously, when it comes to like slanderous stuff, libel stuff, that kind of thing, defamation stuff, that's an entire separate discussion. I'm talking about criticism. Am I still going to critique this? Yes. You know why? Because at the end of the day, this costs money, this costs resources, this costs time that could have been put to something else. And we're going to criticize that. We know that at the end of the day, this is not going to go away. And you guys can still put this out there. But likewise, we can still put out our opinions. Because effectively, that's what this is. It's basically the final suit for No Way Home. Brand New Day is literally just a little over a month away. What are we doing? You already announced the Brand New Day figure for Spider-Man and for Hulk with the new skin. What are we getting out of this? The Peter Parker head with the pulled up mask that even has the terrible sculpt that I mentioned a number of times looks nothing like Tom Holland. Which is crazy to say considering how much I just mentioned that they nailed the Julia Louis smiling head and the Henry Cavill Cavalrine head. But for some reason, I don't know what happened with their Tom Holland. Because that does not look like Tom Holland. It looks like some other kid. And I mentioned that with the original blister card release. And now here, it's coming back again. This time, the head now doesn't have the hair. It has the pulled up mask. Why? Because Brand New Day is coming up. And we got to drive sales. And we got to get rid of some of these units. Now, at the risk of sounding a little hypocritical, I might get this next one. Even though we could have avoided having to get a second one, but of course, if you guys are not familiar with the term planned obsolescence, we're getting the Green Goblin again from No Way Home, still revisiting that movie. However, they're doing away with pretty much all of the little purple modifications that he has at the end of the movie. So effectively, you're getting the Green Goblin that appears on the freeway bridge in the first third or so of the movie before we kick into the second act. He's got a much more angry neutral head as opposed to the smiling one, which is probably the only benefit that the other one has, is that he's got the smiling head. So I'm probably going to be doing head swaps. But he does have the broken mask piece, bonus hands, couple of pumpkin bombs, the exploding pumpkin bomb effect, which is kind of neat and could probably benefit stop motion animators. At first, I thought that there was a bit of an overhaul on the glider, but Dwight says that it's the same. So I guess I'll take his word for it, but there's areas like underneath that look a little different, like they might have added some plastic. I don't know. Someone on a stream, it wasn't Dwight, but it was somebody else, who was commentating on this figure, Noted that they did, however, bake in shin swivels right there where the boot is. That was not present on the last version. So I'm saddened to say that there's enough here, enough of a change, that I'm looking at and going, yeah, I might pick this up because, like Dwight says at the end, and I know that this is their strategy and they're fucking bastards for it, but effectively, this can work for both either the No Way Home or for 2002 Green Goblin Spider-Man. Since I've missed out on the original Toy Biz Green Goblin from back in 2002, this can fulfill that. And at the end of this discussion, I don't know where it's at, or it was. I know that it was on this like 2-shot. Let me see if it's here. Dan does say something that is rather unfortunate for me trying to keep myself from supporting Marvel Legends. Hold on. I'm not getting desktop audio. Why not? Why am I not getting desktop audio? Give me 1 second, guys. I am not getting desktop audio. I don't know why. Oh, I don't have it, the source synced up. Oh.
First took him to the theaters the first time. I remember my little brother, sorry Joey for calling you out. He was crying a little bit when he saw Green Goblin, and this version of Green Goblin is always really precious with a lot of fans, I believe, too. So if you're interested in more figures from the 2002 movie, you know, again, time, you might just have to wait. We'll see. The pre-order for this specific Green Goblin, though, will be...
Yeah, there it is. Slight little tease of possible more stuff from to the 2002 Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Now, what could it be? My money is on an MJ with the kimono to kind of revisit the version that Toy Biz gave out. If we are to really go through that Toy Biz selection and just give their iterations of them, I would say Jameson, MJ with that kimono from the parade scene, Norman with the blue shirt talking to the chair that has the mask on it, and I'm not saying Toby because I know for a fact that if I say Toby, they're like, all right, we'll give you guys Toby, and it's just the fucking No Way Home version again with a cleaner head to make him look younger like the Spider-Man 3 version did, but it's gonna be that same buck. It's gonna be that same buck. It's gonna be that same buck. That's it. That's why I didn't say Toby, because I'm like, they're just gonna do that Toby again. And over time, that Toby has not aged well. At the time, I was happy to have like some kind of Toby representation in 6-inch format, because the only one I have is the Zipline one from Spider-Man 2 Toy Biz. I would love to have that super articulated version, but I know that right now, even an open one goes for like $100 to $150. Absolutely beaming with joy. The torture articulation put on so bad on Calvary, but the face are so nice. The funny man, welcome to stream. Will all be high for us with Batman until McFarlane says all 3 absolute DC characters on the crowdfund and oh, shut up. Shut up. Toys Meta just invoiced me for Red Death this morning. Won't lie, I was getting worried. No, yeah, they're doing batches, Brian. I remember hearing them that they're going to be doing batches. So, good thing I ended on the screen here, because it says right here, pre-order June 16th. That's actually coming up in 4 days, beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern, so that's 10 a.m. So I'll wake up just a few minutes. I literally just have to wake up like 15 minutes earlier, 10, 15 minutes earlier. Because I actually might pre-order this. And I use that. I'm trying not to make myself sound like I'm putting myself on a pedestal, but to me, that's the litmus test. If I'm a huge scrutinizer and critic of Hasbro and Marvel Legends and the way they're treating Marvel Legends right now, am slightly moved to get this Green Goblin, chances are way more other people who are a lot less cynical than me are probably going to do as well. So I'm probably going to have to set my alarm for this one, which is, what did I say? June 16th? Tuesday the 16th. So we might be there. I'm definitely going to breeze through this because I do feel like it's fucking stupid in my opinion. I'm sorry. I just do not get it. I don't know. There's got to be some kind of behind the scenes reasoning for why this is transpiring. But Marvel Legends are doing characters from Brand New Day. Except not. Because we know that Boomerang and Scorpion are going to be in the movie. And yet they opted to make figures on their comic editions, as the box says. Comic editions or comic counterparts. Where basically it's the way they look like in the comics. Why? Why? Like, so much of this just does not make sense to the point where I can already tell you that these fucking things are going to be at Ross. They're going to be at Ross. Because if I want to get a Scorpion from Brand New Day, I want it to look like Michael Mando with that suit. Or, you know which would be an amazing figure? It's never going to happen. But I really dug Scorpion's design from the Spider-Man movie game. From the 2002 game, the way that they drew him up in that game, that's what I always thought should be a live-action Scorpion. And that would be sick if we ever got a figure like that. And I know it's never gonna happen. Same thing with Boomerang. I mean, it doesn't get any more comic than that face right there. I don't know why you guys couldn't, afford to do the movie-based versions of the Boomerang from the movie and the Scorpion from the movie, especially when it comes to the Michael Mando version. And I know that you guys have got money for the likeness because you guys are skipping out money on the printing of these boxes by using AI or some kind of tool to develop the boxes since you misspelled Boomerang on the fucking box. Anyways, these go out for pre-order. What is it, July 23rd? We will not be there. July 23rd? That's over a month. That's wait, and then this one's August 1st. And that's the thing. It's like, why show them now if you're not even going to reveal them until after Comic-Con? These should have been revealed at Comic-Con. That way, they could say, oh yeah, Boomerang goes up for pre-order tomorrow. Yay. Or, I'm sorry, Bomberang. There it is. It's on the box. Skelly Bones. Look at that. It's on the box. Even in this photo, I can't help but feel like just the heart just dropped from Dan and Dwight as they're looking, and they're just trying to like keep it together as they show this picture, because over here they probably didn't see it when they were putting the box up on the desk, especially since the figure's kind of in front, so they were like, oh, la, 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 la. And then once the screen came out, they're like, oh shit. Like, come on, man. What are we doing? And this is again when that next little mini rant from Dwight came in saying that, hey, if you guys already had this figure, that's great. This is not for you. This is not for you. This is not for you. This is for the... And I'm like, the fact that you have to defend yourself like that is just telling enough. And then finally, to play catch up with the Vogue.
We believe the most rewarding wins
Hasbro?
are when we work like a team.
Ads.
That's why U.S. Bank Smartly Checking and Savings are designed to work together so we can
Unskippable
reward
ad.
you more. That's the power of us.
Bet you can't
Oh
run
my
as fast
God.
as T-Mobile.
Bet you I can.
Well, you better pick it up, because T-Mobile now has the fastest 5G home internet. a lot of our.
It's funny because I didn't even hit play. To catch up on those that accidental leak, accidental posting, they revealed the dog Samson as what they call the Hulk program, which is, are these actually selling? Almost nobody speaks really highly of these Hulk figures. But I guess they are. Maybe. I don't know. We got a peg warmer here. I'm sorry, but she's definitively a peg warmer every time I go to a Target. And when I say a Target, I really do mean I go to 2 or 3 up here. When I was hunting for the Mattel DC figures, there's 3 Targets up here, and I will go to all 3. And then a couple of times I went to an area in the Inland Empire area that requires like a bit of an hour to an hour and 10-minute drive down the hill, as we like to call it. And there's way more Targets over there, but I will only go to like 2 or 3 before I start to get tired or whatever. And through all of those, I still see her. Sometimes there's just 1 or 2, and then other times there's like 5 or 6 on the peg. I'm like, Jesus, guys. Come on. And it looks like we might just be adding another one. Cypher. Just telling it like it is. And our closer was the X-Men 97 Beast. Doesn't look bad. Definitely appeal to what a lot of people have been wanting to kind of put in more into their X-Men 97, especially with season 2 just around the corner. I think it's like July 31st. I still haven't seen the trailer. God damn it. And then, of course, we have some teases, one of which is a pretty obvious one with a Mary Jane, so we're getting another Spider-Man. I just don't know what the details are for this specific Spider-Man, but we are getting a Spider-Man. And then a present.
Hey, I bend my man.
Yeah. So, you know.
America. Did not know this was gonna come, but this is a great tease. I know exactly what you're talking about here.
I don't know. Any of you who are much more hardcore Marvel Legends fans could let me know. And then, technically speaking, the switch of the hat to USA cap hat. I'm guessing some kind of Captain America, some Spider-Man, and then I don't know what the birthday present. I mean, the present is. Because it's red, it kind of makes me think that it might be Christmas related, but at the same time, I don't know for certain. So, and that was the Marvel Legends stream. So again, there was quite a bit of meat to chew on towards the beginning, but there was quite a bit of also the traditional, the archetypal bullshit that Marvel Legends likes to just dip in there. Whether it be from the reveals themselves to, again, the body and verbal language from our hosts that I still am confused as to why it is they are there. Especially keeping in mind that one of which probably got a message from God himself saying, hey, it's probably time to call it. And instead, he chose to come back. Which, you know, all kidding aside, I'm hoping that Dwight recovers speedfully. Because, like I say, it did look like he was in pain. And I did feel empathetic for him. Again, the lashing out, you know, I definitely prefer him over Dan. And then amongst the 3, I preferred Ryan. But then, of course, he's the one to dip. But you know, for an injury to happen, I was like, oh, that's definitely a bummer, and I don't wish that on anybody, especially one that makes you very visibly in pain. That probably requires you to like lean up against the desk like he was, or be on pain meds constantly, or be out of commission the amount of time that he was. For him to be gone that long, it must have been a pretty hefty injury. So I don't wish on anyone. So again, I can criticize the way that he talks to fans and things like that, but it never correlates to him suffering an injury. I'm like, that sucks. The entire time I was hoping that the vacation and him being sabbatical or whatever was, again, because of the behind the scenes stuff. Like, oh, does he not like what they're doing over there at Marvel Legends? Is there some kind of drama? What's going on? The injury never crossed my mind. I was like, damn, an injury? Damn. I would have preferred, like I said, drama or whatever, because it would have made a bit more sense. And his health would have been affected. I saw someone say maybe an MJ and Peter Christmas too. Ooh, that was something Hasbro made years ago or something. That's a good point. That could be it. Hold on, let me respond to a text real fast. Hold on. Gonna need another swig here to discuss the next topic, which is the big one. Is the big and hefty one. Yeah. And to do that, let me actually pull up a live stream from, how long ago was it? Okay, here we go.
When it was time to add my
Shut up. Actually, let's make that a little bit bigger. Okay, let me see where I can get to start thing off naturally. Actually, no, let's close that. Okay. 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 Now, I probably need to start off by somewhat throwing out a little bit of an apology for not covering the LPZZ slash stupefying your stuff that was unveiled at a pretty momentous um live stream by Kaiju Daddy, who's a big personality. Well, yeah, big personality on the toy community mainly when it comes to some of the import stuff overseas, whether it be coming from China, Japan. That's predominantly where some of these import figures come from. I can't really think of any European companies that really work on that level, that really are making a splash in the community that big. But I'm welcome to it. You know, there's like some kind of French company that's going to be delivering on the quality of that of in art. That'll be sick, but we'll see when that bridge crosses. But he doesn't really talk. I noticed he mentions McFarlane and Marvel Legends stuff in passing, but he mainly covers Mafex or Mafex, however you pronounce it, figure arts. And now the bigger players are kind of making, like I said, waves in terms of brand recognition, but also more importantly, the quality that they're actually delivering on, which is LPZZ slash UP Find Yours and in art. And it's pretty. Shout out to Kaiju Daddy in that boy. And it's honestly pretty important to also single out a little bit of the distinction when it comes to that company name, because I know that a lot of people are confused about like what's it called, UP Find Yours, LPZZ. And during his stream with Killzone619, who's also a form of liaison with LPZZ, he doesn't really work with them, but he's kind of like a independent slash freelance sort of, like I said, liaison. That's the best way that I can kind of interpret what it is that he does, is that he's kind of like a liaison to translate figuratively or sometimes even literally between the communications that are coming down the pipeline with UPF as a company towards Western audiences that are taking a sharp interest in what it is that they're putting out. Now, I'm going to kind of pivot a little bit slightly so that we can then segue a little bit into that Kaiju Daddy stream from last week, I believe, a little bit more naturally, by starting off with something that was actually directly announced by LPZZ slash UP Find Yours themselves, which was on their Instagram, which is naturally where I get the majority of the actual like photos and announcements and things like that directly from the company, is from Instagram for me personally, because they are a Chinese company, so the majority of their socials is, I think they're called Red Note, and when it comes to like video format stuff, it's Bilibili. But effectively, they turn to either other employees internally or liaison type of figures like Killzone to then find a way to put these up on platforms like Instagram, even YouTube as a short or as a long form video or something, or even Twitter. And amongst them was the official announcement. We knew this was coming, especially with their appearances, especially with the prototype appearances in certain like venues and conferences and conventions. But now, directly from the source, UPF, their first official tease, complete with mood lighting, the UPF Robert Pattinson 2022 Batman 1/12th action figure. See that right here? And like I said, in the shadows, there's my own one comment right there. And this was officially posted 4 days ago. Everything was 4 days ago, June 8th. Along with that Marvel Legends stream, this was also... That's when I knew that I needed to stream today. Was when Monday, as far back as Monday, when I saw that Hasbro did that Marvel Legends post stream out of nowhere. And then LPZZ posts this, teasing the upcoming Robert Pattinson Batman. And the reason for why this is important is because generally when they do something like this, it means that pre-orders are not too far off the horizon. Whenever they do something like this, we're looking at within maybe the month. Maybe the month. And what really helps sort of exasperate, not exasperate, because that means that the definition of that means that it makes it worse. What helps further emphasize this, I guess that's the word, is that they're not the only one. Toys Metaverse also posted about it in collaboration with UPF. So we have and Wanted Toys, two of the most predominant retailers that sell UPF figures, LPZZ figures. Generally, when that starts to happen, that to me gives off the vibe that those retailers are confident in thinking that, yeah, this guy's coming up here pretty soon. It's not too far off. So make sure you have some money set to the side, at least for the pre-order, that $20, $25 or so. So the fact that that's how much it got posted, total 3 times, directly from the stores, UPF themselves, as well as the designer, Mighty Edward #1, but then also subsequently Toys Metaverse, who I mainly pre-order my LPZZ stuff from, and Wanted Toys. And I haven't checked, but I think it's just a matter of time before Bombasby posts something themselves. In that same vein, we also got posted again by LPZZ and Mighty Edward #1, the lead designer, the Arkham Knight Catwoman, who by Killzone himself mentioned in the Kaiju Daddy stream from last week that after Arkham Knight, Catwoman is the next one. And considering that we got this, like I said, this very dynamic prototype photo teased, very similar to that of, like I said, the Arkham Knight and the turnaround time that we got with that guy, as well as also being posted by, again, Toys Metaverse. We didn't get anything from Wanted Toys, but Toys Metaverse did post about it as well. Next, you can find yours, Catwoman. That also makes me believe that she's around the corner as well. That we're probably looking at maybe beginnings of July, which sounds far off, but we're only 3 weeks. We're almost like, what is it? Like 3 weeks from tomorrow is 4th of July, guys. I hate to, bum you guys out with how quickly the year's going, but come on, man. And I'm certain that within those 3 weeks, at least one. Now, I don't know about both. Both would be crazy. But at least one of these two guys, these two figures, either Pattinson Batman or Arkham Knight Catwoman, will have pre-orders launch. And as mentioned by my Killzone on the Kaiju Daddy stream, both of these, the way that he talks about it and the way he hints at it, it kind of makes me seem like they are, in fact, around the corner. Especially when he himself is mentioning, like I said, just how much of a turnaround time, just over the fact that during the stream they were saying that there's like a new contest. There was like a photo contest. I don't know if it's closed now, but there was a photo contest to demonstrate your posability skills with photography with the 2 current Arkham figures that are out. Not including the Arkham Knight because that guy's still rolling out in very small batches. But there was a photo contest where you can pose up Arkham Knight Batman and Arkham Knight Deathstroke, and whoever comes out on top on that contest will get a voucher to redeem the Arkham Knight Catwoman. That's how confident they are in that turnaround time for her. So that should be interesting to see. I would imagine if I was a betting man, I would say that maybe before the end of the summer, not only will the pre-orders will definitely go live, but maybe even first batch, considering that, like I said, that Arkham Knight turnaround was quick. Which then brings us to the Kaiju Daddy stream. Now, the entirety of the stream is 4 hours long. I skipped to where he started talking the first time about any of the upcoming LPZZ stuff, which is right here in an hour and 39 in. Because nobody told me that this was also just a standard Kaiju Daddy stream. I thought it was going to be solely focused on LPZZ, but I'm not going to lie, when I tuned into it, I was like, oh, we're here for the long haul. Okay. So I was editing. I went as far as to edit, film some B-roll, eat dinner, and go to the gym. And it was on my way to the gym where Killzone finally started talking about this stuff right here. And the first photo that he was able to show, key emphasis on the word able, because one of the things that I really did like that was talked about during the stream was that so far everything that was shown was what was allowed to be shown. Because one of the biggest takeaways from the stream that was very illuminating, and I had a hunch that this was in fact the case. You know, I've did a little bit of my own investigation prior, and it's rather unfortunate. Don't get me wrong. Like it really, really sucks that this is in fact the case. But an awful lot of like things happening or not happening, it really does boil down to it being goddamn Warner Brothers. It's not LPZZ or UPF, whatever. It's Warner Brothers. Because what Killzone was able to show is what Warner Brothers said he can show. If it was up to Killzone, probably this stream probably could have gone on another hour with what he was able to show. But no. It was WB. And so what I'm going to kind of skim through here, because like I said, it's a 4 hour stream, and finally at 1:39 he starts talking about it, but he really does talk about it up until like 3:40, so almost a full 2 hours here. And I've watched that 2 hour segment in real time when it was first streamed, and then I watched it again last night at 1.5 speeds to then bring down the notes. And let me actually pull up my Google Keep on my phone to just make it just a little bit more succinct and quick to the point. So obviously the first thing that was shown here was the new Hush Batman that has already been kind of teased and shown a couple of times way ahead in advance, to the point where they actually did bring up something that I definitely made the call on. I called it, and I was right, and I feel vindicated. Some sites, like Bombasby, in fact, I feel like Bombasby is probably the biggest culprit of this. Sometimes they have a tendency of throwing up pre-order pages for figures that aren't officially out for pre-order. So I remember there was a time where people were like, pre-order page on Bombasby for Hush Batman and for Arkham Knight, the Arkham Knight, and Arkham Knight Catwoman. And the first photo they show is that unpainted prototype where she's like stiff like this, and I'm like, this doesn't feel legit. I mean, and when I say legit, I'm talking about the actual act of pre-ordering the figure. The site itself is legit. I've ordered it from them before. I've gotten products. Like I mentioned before, I got my invoice for the Arkham Knight Origins. Arkham Origins from InArt. But this feels like they're jumping the gun a bit. And in the stream, Killzone did in fact confirm that sometimes these pages go up a little bit too early, and much like an airline does with certain seats on their planes, they overbook. And then later, LPZZ UPF is like, this is the exact amount of units we're making, and Bombasby's like, oh shit, that's way less than what we promised. And that's why that Arkham Knight was dealing with cancellations those few weeks back. That's what happens. So until UPF themselves or one of the designers like Mighty Edward teases that official pre-order launch, then pre-order. Don't jump the gun like some people did with this Hush Batman or that Catwoman, because I knew it was too early, and I called it. I was like, this doesn't feel legit, or this doesn't feel like it's gonna bear fruit or be a good thing that pans out, and I was kind of right on it. Packrad, welcome to stream. Sorry, I don't know if I said hi to you. Yeah, CM Brock. I just feel like Warner Brothers, somebody in Warner Brothers just needs to lay off, because I'm looking at Supergirl and I don't even feel interested in that movie just because it just doesn't look fun. It just doesn't look. I gotta be honest. I hate that I'm saying that, because it's Supergirl. It should be fun. I should be wanting to go along with the ride. And every time they show footage of that movie, it just doesn't look appealing to me. It really doesn't. Anyways, with this Hush Batman, you got this base, which seemingly is going to be included. I believe this one is going to be included. That's another thing that they touched upon. And like I said, a part of me wants to rewatch this, and another part of me is like, I've already watched it twice. I don't want to go through it again. But when it comes to this Hush Batman, which admittedly, I think I even mentioned this when I covered the Gong Studios Hush Batman, is that it's interesting that one of the companies I've been championing for a while, LPZZ, UPF, is going to be tackling Hush Batman. But even within this stream, they said that, yeah, they're getting kind of sick and tired of Hush Batman. Like, how many Hush Batmans are we going to get? So, an interesting wrinkle, cape wrinkle, is that with this Hush Batman, there's going to be like they're teasing a standard and deluxe edition. And the deluxe edition is the one that I think might come with this base that might have like a light up feature. I can't remember if he was talking about a light up feature or if he says that, it'll be translucent enough so that you can put a light underneath. I don't know. I do remember, however, reading that I do remember reading somewhere that, or hearing, I think it was during this segment, that their plan is to do a standard and deluxe edition. And I believe here, the left one is the standard edition little display base piece. And then the right one is not only going to come with that base, with both bases, or did he say it's only going to come with this base? Because that's one of the things I kind of fear, except I have enough confidence in LPZZ that they won't do this, where you'll get one version of the base with the deluxe edition, but then the standard base only comes with the standard, whereas deluxe, if you're paying more, it should come with everything from under, top down, like a top down sort of design. And the reason for why I say that is because, unfortunately, you even have companies like Hot Toys who sometimes miss the mark on that. They'll make like a deluxe edition that comes with this very elaborate designer base, but then the standard edition doesn't come, but it doesn't come with the general like standard hexagonal base or rectangular base that the standard edition comes with. So you only get one or the other, and I'm like, it should come with both. If I'm paying deluxe prices and I'm paying extra, it should come with both. You should throw both in the box. I think Killzone confirmed that the deluxe only comes with the deluxe base, vice versa. Yeah, he did? Okay. Because I missed it, because the audio is a little muffly on Killzone's part, so I might have missed that. If that is the case, then that's my first little point of criticism here. Don't do that. I know that you need to approve this by WB, and I know it's probably going to be a budget thing that's going to factor in, but my personal verdict, my personal opinion, both bases should be in the deluxe. If we're paying that extra money for the deluxe, then it should be top and then include everything underneath. Like, you get everything and this. Hot Toys, like I said, there's times, they don't do it every time, but sometimes they do that, where The deluxe edition comes with this very elaborate diorama base. That's cool. Don't get me wrong. We're not taking away from the quality, but technically that standard base should also be in there. I'm sorry. That value should be in the box. And as such, the deluxe... Now, here's the thing. We aren't talking about bases at the end of the day. If we are to, like, sacrifice something or, you know, do away with something, give or take something, it should be the bases. I believe in the deluxe edition, you will get both capes. Actually, I think I did put this in the keep here, that deluxe edition that will alternate bases. Okay. Oh wow, I did write it on my Google Keep. How did I forget? I wrote this last night. How did I forget? Am I that tired? I did write it. Alternating bases. I did write the word alternate and have different capes. But that's the thing. I think with the capes, they did say that approach of including both and not just doing one will be in the deluxe edition, where in the deluxe edition, you'll get both a draping cape and a wired cape. And I believe only the draping cape will be in the standard edition. But the deluxe will have both capes. So even though we're losing out on a base, I believe both capes will be included in the deluxe edition. So I'm like, all right, there's that. I think I remember at one point, Killzone even teased a possible accessory pack. So if you get just the standard edition, but then later on you're like, oh, I wish I could get some of the accessories, not necessarily every version of the base or every single accessory, but some of the ones that aren't found here in the standard edition. You know, if the budget is, you know, friendly enough, maybe LPZZ will be like, hey, here's this accessory set for only like another $20-$30, and you get some of the bonuses that were included in the deluxe. Yeah, I remember it was during the Q&A portion. Okay, I did kind of, that's the only part I didn't rewatch, so that's probably what I missed there. So yeah, and I'm very keen on how, oh my god, dude, I didn't even play it. I just skimmed, and the ad autoplays. And this is why I don't want to play it, and I want to skim through it, because I still have to deal with these goddamn ads. Jesus. And it's intentional too. Like, they do this shit on purpose. Like, this is something that's programmed into their whole code. YouTube. Like, I was skimming, not even playing, and just letting it go, it'll play the ad. It's like, no, I didn't hit play, you fucking bastard. Anyways, I love the half moon effect of this batarang to make it look like it's throwing it and it's whipping. Naturally, I expect there to be standard batarangs that are separated. Obviously, he mentioned that that's how crazy WB can sometimes get with how, you know, obsessive they are over control. That these photos, I don't know about this prototype because this definitely looks like an unpainted prototype. But when it comes to the other one, that's kind of just sitting there or standing there, like this one right here, I believe this is in fact blue, like the Hush blue with the gray and the yellow for the belt. But the reason for why we can't see it and it's in black and white and super blown out is because WB has yet to approve the actual hue of color, down to the hue of color, and they have to wait for that pending licensor approval. So the tiniest of things is what WB has control over. And on that same note, he tackled the Hush Superman, which is probably going to follow Hush Batman shortly thereafter, in how they're tackling the different alternating head sculpts and the poll that Killzone put out there. And along with that poll, there were some people saying that why not a smiling head? And apparently WB was the one saying, no smiling head. He doesn't smile in the Hush comic. No. So this is as far as you can get. I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say this is the one that I think got canceled. And they're leaving these two in, and now they're just trying to figure out the little fringe for the hair. I don't know. But yeah, it was rather unfortunate. And like I said, the Superman thing didn't really stand out to me, so I don't believe I wrote it down in my Google Keep. But it's just rather insane that that's just how meticulous to have over the tiniest of things over there at WB. It's just, it's insane to me. Now, in my same Google Keep, I wrote down a couple of things that will kind of serve as a bit of a segue for some of the, as the week went on, the stuff that was transpiring with LPZZ and UPF was starting off on a good foot, especially with these initial reveals over on the Instagram page that I was talking about with the Pattinson Batman, excuse me, the Pattinson Batman and the Arkham Knight Catwoman. But as the week went on, those news went from sweet to slightly bitter, and so the end result is a bit of a bittersweet turnaround regarding LPZZ and UPF. And to kind of kickstart that discussion inside of this Kaiju Daddy stream, Killzone did shed some light on the much delayed Batfleck figure, because this figure's original prototype was kind of shown off pretty damn early, to the point where the LPZZ Cross Happy Play model kit for the Batfleck Batmobile from BVS has been in circulation just for so long that people are now getting just a little exhausted of having a Batmobile with no Batman to sit in it, a point that even Killzone does reference. And he does say that this has been delayed quite a bit, and they're still trying to get things right, reiterating on what the things that WB is trying to approve and give them a bit of a back to the drawing board sentiment. In that same vein, we're left with this photo of what was initially a canceled Arkham Knight Red Hood figure. Mild spoilers for Arkham Knight, but you know that there's a significant presence of Red Hood in that game that then spawned a form of a DLC where you get to play as the Red Hood proper, complete with the jacket, an actual Red Hood covering up his helmet, and the double pistols. It seemed like for a brief moment there it was actually canceled, but now the language that Killzone uses is that it is now put on ice. So it's kind of at a bit of a standstill. So it's sort of a standstill and sort of in a never say never sort of stance or phase. And the fact that this photo from the lead designer Obito, over on this, I think this is Red Note, posted this photo and allowed Killzone to share this photo, kind of makes it feel like, hey, we want you to keep this inside of your train of thinking, inside of the zeitgeist. So that's pretty cool. And I'm like, yeah, if the Arkham Knight line is taken off the way that it is, and right now a lot of people who have already gotten the Arkham Knight figure in hand are, praising it to high heavens, which I hope I do too, because it legit looks awesome, and I'm getting jealous. And I'm probably gonna have to wait on my unit since my dumbass decided to pre-order the Arkham Knight figure a whole month after the pre-orders were opened. So I'm probably looking at like July for my unit, realistically. Fucking July. But it is what it is, and it's my fault for waiting so long. That's just the cross I'll have to bear. But it's good to see that so much demand is coming down for the Arkham Knight, the Arkham series or the Arkham Knight series, that within the stream they did mention that not only, like I said, Red Hood is no longer canceled, but simply just put on ice, on hold, until they can iron other figures out, such as possibly Nightwing. Of course, like I mentioned before, the Arkham Knight Catwoman is coming down much sooner than expected, from what I can tell, based on language and the way that it's covered, and with that photo that was officially posted by the socials. But then also, as shown off at, I think it was Wonderfest, and the demand that there is for this character in this series, Arkham City. Now, based on what Killzone said, they're leaning more towards Arkham City versus Arkham Asylum because of how much of cross-pollination there is there in terms of character designs. But I beg to differ. I'm a stickler for the differences in the suit, despite being very similar. There's also some noticeable differences in Batman's suit from Asylum to City. But then Killzone brings up a really good solution that could be cost effective. Like he mentioned already a couple of times in the stream, accessory pack. Since the suit is so similar, the pieces that I can tell you right now are definitively better, that are pieces that I can definitely see being tangible for being removed and swapped out. The gauntlets, the boots, the belt. Because I believe the cowl looks almost identical, the bat symbol looks identical. I would argue that maybe the slight tone of the gray on his suit is maybe just a little, just microscopically different. But that's it. The only things that you can tell are different are the gauntlets for sure, the main buckle on the front of the belt, and the boots. If those are pieces that you can just like plop off and swap the other, there you go. You go from your asylum to city. You got 2 figures in one. I would gladly go into the triple digits for that. Personally speaking. I'm sorry, but I would definitely do that. And after this, they showed off this photo again, once again in black and white. Although I feel like if they had waited a little while longer, they might have not needed to show this in black and white, considering the official photo posted by the socials. But we do have this look at the Pattinson Batman with the launcher, the grapnel, whatever this thing was, coming out of his wrist, propelling out forwards. This dynamic, cool-looking pose that you can strike him with. Now, I have confidence in LPZZ that they can deliver a quality figure, but this photo, along with that initial tease that was posted earlier this week, it definitely makes me wonder what they're going to be able to deliver on the figure that will set it apart from the other Pattinson Batmans. Because if you guys have been keeping up with the channel, you know that I have a shit ton of Pattinson Batmans, more than I probably should. But I have the last one that I covered was, I think, the Mesco. No, the Fonjoy. So when you're dealing with an abundance of competitors, from the Fonjoy to the Mesco to the Mafex to the Figure Arts to the McFarlane, there's literally, what was that? Figure Arts, Mafex, McFarlane, Mesco, Fonjoy. 5. This would be the 6th one within this reasonable scale, and I'm not counting the 1/6 figures that even those I covered. What are you going to be able to do to differ? Because the tease, I'll admit, this photo here, along with the tease, from a visual, technical standpoint, nothing is standing out that makes me go like, oh yeah, this is already better than those other figures. Not really. Does LPZZ have and UPF have the reputation to... What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? Did you guys see that? I have... Okay, good. I streamed this. I have proof of how much bullshit this is. Stop. I skimmed... How much did I skim right there? Oh my god. Just stop. And you know what I hate is how artificial it is, because they're like, oh, you don't want ads? Sign up for YouTube Premium. By the way, we just raised the prices on YouTube Premium for like the 3rd time in the past 6 months. Not a coincidence. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Not a coincidence. They're creating the problem and then they're feeding you the solution to the problem. Yeah, I might have to look into a solution for this, because I can't continue like this. I can't. I'm going to have to look into other methods. What was surprising to hear Killzone rebuting is discussing anything around the base, which I found kind of strange, because it's like, it's a base. If anything, I can just tell that it's modeled after the rafters from the ending of the film. But pretty interesting that he couldn't really talk about that directly. So that was pretty surprising. I am going to skip just a little ahead, because this is the predominant Q&A portion that, like I said, I kind of skimmed through a little bit and missed a couple of things. But I do like that towards the end here, he showed off a photo of a ginormous lamentation. I'm probably going to get an ad. Okay. A giant lamentation, courtesy of course, WB, which is an LPZZ UPF incarnation of New 52 Batman, along with likely other inductees from New 52, whether it be Superman himself with no underpants but just a belt, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, the entirety of the Justice League, frankly. And you can see right here that they already had an unpainted and unarticulated prototype ready for, ready to be shown off and hopefully pushed forward into production, complete with, like I said, all of the extra linings that New 52 Batman is known for, along with that bat symbol there. But unfortunately, since this figure and the entirety of the line have been canceled. So that was something that WB simply did not bite on, and it's rather unfortunate. Only comes to show, like I said, just how, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say meticulous, because at least that's looking over, maybe that's the process of what they kind of cancel out in terms of like what they look at in terms of details. But I'm sorry, it just boggles my mind why it is that they couldn't approve a New 52, because you don't want to sell more Batman? No more Batman? No more Batmans out there to sell? I don't know if maybe this was a byproduct of, I think he even, Killzone might have touched this. He mentioned something about Mattel that I don't know if WB was looking at like Mattel's figures and saying, oh, well, they're working on a New 52 for their collector's line, or maybe the kids line. We don't want to cannibalize. We don't want to like stretch that out. Okay. But this is the prosumer tier. This is something overseas. Like, this is LPZZ, These are different demographics of collectors, of action figure buyers. They very seldom, and even when they cross over, 9 times out of 10, they'll just buy both. But I guess that's not the way they saw it. They saw it as like, oh no, they only got a finite amount of money. So, okay. And to kind of piggyback on canceled lines, they also technically didn't get canceled because it was never started. But they pretty much said that Mortal Kombat is out, which is a little bit of a staunch bummer for me, since I even mentioned in my review for the Batman Who Laughs, after playing around with the diecast chain that has the spike at the end that you can kind of wrap around, that gave me major Scorpion vibes and made me wonder what it would be like if LPZZ UPF were to deliver a 1/12th prosumer high quality Scorpion from a Mortal Kombat series, and it looks like that's never really gonna happen, and it's quite unfortunate that they didn't pick that up. And I'll admit, a little befuddling that they turned that away. But no disrespect to Killzone, to the folks over at UPF, to the designers, but they're willing to cancel New 52, not approve Mortal Kombat, but Assassin's Creed is okay. I'm sorry, I don't see the Assassin's Creed. That's why whenever those polls went up, I gotta be honest, I never voted because I'm kind of burnt on Assassin's Creed. I used to really, really dig the series, but of course, like the way that they've been handling the series lately, I'm talking about Ubisoft, it just doesn't appeal to me anymore. Just recently, I finished my 60-hour playthrough of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. But who knows? Maybe I'll turn my opinion around when they finally develop the Ezio figure that really delivers on like felt goods, die-cast pieces around the blade and the belt, and it's very ornate and meticulous to the point where I'll become a believer. Who knows? Ooh, okay, some insight here from CM Bronk. Yeah, that's what I heard. That Mattel collector line is starting off with New 52. Okay, so there's smoke. You're saying there's smoke. And when there's smoke, there's fire. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm definitely interested in that too. Yeah, that's the thing is I'm open. I'm keeping an open mind to where if it's the kind of figure that I get in hand and I'm like, it feels like I have like an epiphany, then okay. Right now, it's just, I don't love the series like that. That when I saw that I got approved and that they were moving progress on it, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't hate on it. I didn't, lambast it. I was just like, okay, Anyways, DC. Could it be that no approval for Mortal Kombat and yet progression and thumbs up for the Assassin's Creed series is what propelled the bad news that transpired as of, what was it, yesterday or the day before? Let me actually take a look at this tweet. It was 2 days ago. It was Wednesday. It was 2 days ago. We had some breaking news from the world over yonder, or the over the pond, so to speak, from someone that is, I think, in a similar position as Killzone. I don't know for certain, but it kind of reads like he is a similar occupation in the sense that he's more so like a liaison, and again, doesn't really work with LPZZ. Killzone doesn't work with UPF. I know that. And neither does Spicy Psyduck, but he's, again, a well-known personality amongst this community that talks prosumer toys. He was mentioned a couple of times by Kaiju Daddy in that initial stream, and he was mentioned again in today's stream that just went live this morning. I believe it says 9 hours ago, so it was literally this morning, probably practically before I woke up. Kaiju Daddy did a stream. The Kaiju Father, the Australian father, he did a stream in his beautiful baldness right here, where a few minutes in, not really a few minutes in, but rather a whopping 30 minutes in, he tackled this sort of breaking news, which is that one of the lead designers has officially left UP Find Yours. The lead designer who was given the moniker Old Bruce. And when I heard this name, I was like, wait a minute. I think I know who. So before delving into what Kaiju Daddy says here, because he's more or less paraphrasing what Spicy Psyduck said on Twitter that I saw pretty much go live. I think it was Wednesday night. Yeah, it was Wednesday night. I was at the gym, and I remember opening Twitter, and somebody, I think it was maybe Paternia, I can't remember who it was, shared this, and I was like, whoa. And I went down this slight little rabbit hole of not only this initial post, but also the quotes that he was threading along. And the first one that I'll read here: there's something going on with UPF. Their Weibo comment, I don't know, Weibo? I'm guessing that's another social media platform over there in China, said there will be no designer line going forward. And the lead designer of Arkham Knight, Deathstroke, Batman Who Laughs, Red Death, has deleted every UPF related posts on his Red Note. And again, Red Note is one of the social media platforms utilized over there in China. So I'm going to go over to view quotes. Oh, that's not going to work. Okay, if anything, I'm probably just going to have to go to his post. Ooh. Interesting. Something I might have to do myself. Yeah, I'm definitely glad that I'm following him, because when it comes to like imported stuff, I'll be able to at least keep up to date with what he's saying. Okay, so this is the initial tweet right here. Then his quote here: said designer also in charge of Dawnbreaker, which I keep forgetting is basically the official name for the corrupted Green Lantern Batman. Basically, it's Batman as Green Lantern, but he looks all like decrepit and like zombified. It's basically Dawnbreaker. Arkham Nightwing, which did get teased, I think, one time by Mighty Adored #1. He posted a photo. That was a photo that went up initially I think on the cusp of about a month ago. Batflick, which, as Kaiju Daddy mentioned in the stream from this morning, probably explains the reason for why it's so long delayed. So I think one of the little hindrances is that now our lead designer left. And maybe him leaving, it's one of those chicken or the egg situations where did he leave because that figure keeps getting delayed? Or the delay was because he was just clashing over things that then led to leaving. And the delays were just like symptoms. Or him leaving was a symptom to the main thing, which is the delays. And it was, not feeling it. Pure speculation, by the way. Nothing, no confirmation. That's just me spitballing speculation. Arkham City Batman and probably more. Confirmed via an acquaintances who spoke with the said designer yesterday, he has left UPF. So apart from the deletion of his posts, he did confirm that he left UPF. And then his last quote, I think, here. Arkham City Batman, Batfleck won't be affected. Nightwing's mold is also finalized, so that's good to hear. As for the rest, no idea at the moment, and since Dark Knight Metal Line is his child, I don't know if this is like a translation thing, it is uncertain how it will go in the future. Okay, there's definitely some mistranslation here, but it will go in the future. What about the Absolute line? Somebody asked in the comments, and he responded, I don't think it's done by him either, or it's just too early to say. It's very limbo-ish. Hush, Superman be affected, it's not done by him. And I guess this is a great way to finally address something that was mentioned in the Kaiju Daddy stream from last week when he talked directly with Killzone and they had this giant session in the middle, pretty much illustrating, trying to break down how it all works. Let me see if I could open it. Hold on, give me a second, guys. Because while I was listening to Killzone's breakdown of how things are kind of stacked and worked over there at UP Find Yours, I opened up okay, I think I can do this. Maybe. Murder. No. Okay. Let's see how this works. Let me just make sure that you guys. Yeah, I guess that's fine. I'm just trying to make sure that you don't see anything in the background and I donks myself one more time. But I don't see... Yeah, I don't see anything. I guess we're fine. I opened up Paint. And I made this. And my dumbass... I don't want to... Let me just... Okay, fine. Let's do that. Or... I'll keep it like that, but let me see if I move my webcam. So that way it's easier to read on camera. Can I move me? I can move me. I just don't like moving things too far to where you can't reset it back to normal. Hopefully I can undo this. Bam. All right. Let's at least do this. I drew this up. The way Killzone broke it down in that stream was that he pretty much said that the official name for the entire conglomerate company that's making these figures is UP Find Yours now. It used to be LPZZ, but they pretty much turned it into UP Find Yours, and they took the LPZZ and dropped it down into a team over here on the side, LPZZ. And LPZZ is the one that's handling the Arkham figures and the upcoming Hush stuff with designers Obido. And I think Mighty Edordino is helping out a little bit. I think what I was gonna type here, because Paint is so cumbersome. Paint is so annoying. I'm sorry, but paint is just, oh my god. I remembered why I don't use paint. Anyways, right here in the middle, I was going to type in Mighty Edward #1 because I want to say he kind of bounces back and forth between certain teams. I don't think he really belongs to one. But over here, you got LPZZ, and that then got brought down by UPF. So when it comes to this company, their official name now is just UPF. UPF. And LPZZ is the designer team that is handling, from what I can tell, and if somebody knows it can correct me, please do so. I'm open to it. It's handling the Arkham stuff, the Hush stuff, I think some other comic stuff, and I think that's it. And when I say comic, that could tackle the absolute stuff. Now, over on this side, on the far right, is the designer team that now has their own name called Fig Trove, which I've mentioned in my Batman Who Laughs review. They're the ones that are in charge of the Dark Knight's metal line, with a couple of like figure projects here and there that I don't want to call them one-offs, but the figures that you would think would be over in the LPZZ camp, but they were actually being handled by Fig Trove, like the Bat flick, like Ben Affleck BVS Batman. I want to say the Arkham Nightwing was going to be under Fig Trove. I think I remember reading that someplace, that Fig Trove was going to tackle their first Arkham figure with Nightwing. It wasn't going to be Catwoman. Catwoman was still going to be the LPZZ team. And the lead designer for Fig Trove was Old Bruce, the designer who used to work at InArt. But now the breaking news is that he left. Judging from what's being mentioned about these projects and where they're at in their statuses, and with the amount of other designers that can help kind of pick up the slack, what Kaiju Daddy mentioned in this stream over here, in this brief and this is the thing, I'll give him credit for keeping the segment a little bit shorter than initially perceived, because I was thinking like, okay, how much of this information are we going to tackle here? And it was only about like a good 15-minute session here, where he pretty much said that at the end of the day, not a whole lot, and here come the ads again. Again, Supergirl, every time I see something Supergirl related, and by the way, I hate to say this, every time I've seen a TV spot or a commercial for Supergirl, it's always the same footage. They never show different shots. Same shots over and over. Hopefully that's not a bad sign. But within this segment, he pretty much said that as much of a bummer as it is to lose a talent like Old Bruce, the actual statuses of the projects that were in active development are not that tampered with, are not really that messed with. Enough work has been put into these projects that they're definitely just trying to come up with a strategy to say, okay, who's gonna... It's almost like when... this might be a terrible analogy, but coming from the world of retail, since I used to work retail, it's like if somebody was in the middle of completing something and they leave for the day because they have to clock out, they can't do overtime. So now either me or someone else has to go in there and finish that thing. And I might not be able to do it as well as they did when they clocked out, but I'll just have to finish it. That's kind of what's happening at UPF a little bit. Except we're not talking about someone clocking out, we're talking about somebody quitting. So, but here's the thing. The big question mark that even Kaiju Daddy said in this segment of the stream that he can't really, address all that much. Oh God, I'm covering him. I'm covering him. Hold on. Let me go back to me. Let me put myself back down. Hold on. Let me center myself. Right here. Okay. Bang. And I'm back. And his baldness is back. His daddiness is back. But something that he also kind of alluded to that even I thought of immediately when I heard these news is that, okay, the stuff that's in progress, the stuff that is confirmed, that's still being worked on, all that has, like I said, way too much work invested into it, obviously is fine. what about the stuff that has merely just been pitched? I.e., as even Spicy Side Duck was kind of mentioning in this thing right here. Did he? I could have sworn there was a section here. Oh, well, I mean, like you mentioned, what about the absolute sign? I don't think it's done by him either. I don't believe it's done by him. But there was one comment, I think it was in one of the other quotes, where it was pretty much him saying, or was it the quotes, or was it, yeah, there are still 2 designers left. What does it mean? They're just going to make, I'm scared, King, what will we do? Wait and see how it goes. There was one quote. Okay, yeah, this one. Since Dark Knight Metal Line is a child, it's certain how it goes in the future. I believe there was a early prototype or like hintings of that Devastator from Dark Knight's Metal, where Batman basically turns into a Doomsday, and it's basically like a Doomsday-ish Batman that takes on the name Devastator, just like when Batman and Flash meld, turns into Red Death. I think there was plans for a Devastator, but now with this happening, I'm looking at the Dark Knight's Metal line and going, I want to say, I think they've talked about Dawnbreaker enough that I want to say Dawnbreaker's safe, but that might be it. And that's me just speculating. I'm not confirming anything. I don't know anything. I'm just speculating that based on the way the quantity of information they've talked about Dawnbreaker versus other characters that I know for a fact make up Dark Knight's Metal, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't rule out that Dawnbreaker is it, and that's it for the Dark Knight's Metal line. And going forward with Fig Trove, they're going to focus on the things that need the slack picked up, like Batflick. Don't be surprised if the way that these boxes look as meticulous and as, like they mentioned, design. There was that line that, like I said, that that terminology used. Where is it? Quinces. There's no design art line going forward. The way that both Batman Who Laughs and Red Death are packaged is very designer-like. It's very prestigious feeling with like the box and the magnets. What are the chances that old Bruce was in charge of that, of those packaging? So we're probably going to be doing away with that style of packaging and just going for a much more generic, straightforward box that just opens up and that's it. Which is unfortunate, but if it means that money will then be allocated towards funding the figure and making sure that the figure is quality, then it is what it is. I'd rather have a better figure and packaging that just does the general job of, serving as a vessel for the figure, as opposed to the box being super decorative and all that stuff, but then the figure's like cheaper or lesser is included in terms of like accessories, which may or may not be something that I'm kind of sort of feeling about Red Death right now. If I'm being honest, I might be in the minority with Red Death. I've been playing around with him for a couple of days now. Just giving you guys a little bit of a tease of the Red Death review that I haven't filmed yet. I'm still kind of bullet pointing and scripting, but gotta be honest, I might be in the minority with Red Death. Just letting you know. I might be in the minority. But who's to say that maybe it's because of those things that transpired with Red Death. I'm saying transpired a lot. Let me stop. Those things that I'm kind of pointing out about Red Death that maybe factored into old Bruce leaving. With that said, the only other thing that I can mention is, like I said, the only thing that's like objectively known as truth is that old Bruce has left UPF. Certain figures, in most of the projects that he was in charge of, are not really directly affected. If anything, nothing is canceled, but delays are possible, more so than what have already happened for certain projects like the Batflick. But other things still stay in current progressions, especially the stuff that was part of the LPZZ camp that I showed in that little diagram, as I mentioned before. So just one more time. Over here it says LPZZ right above my head. You have one team that's LPZZ and the other team that was Fig Trove, both under the UPF umbrella. Old Bruce was the designer that just left Fig Trove? Should they hire somebody else, or simply just, as Kaiju Daddy actually said, using his language, he used this word, or will they just consolidate everything and just get rid of Fig Trove, which I believe Kaiju Daddy actually did say that they disbanded, and would help clarify things. Now, if Fig Trove disbanded and we only really have one designer team under UPF, which is LPZZ, then I guess to make things a bit even more clearer, much simpler, not just for consumers, but also for to not scare off WB more than they already feel like they are, shivering in their timbers. I would not be surprised if we also get rid of LPZZ as a name and just call the whole thing UPF. UPF, 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 UPF. Because like I said, from a optic standpoint, it'll look a little bit more simpler, a little bit more direct. There'll be less confusion, and UPF could just operate as this one big thing that says, hey, we're the ones performing the competition up against the likes of InArt, the likes of Mafex, the likes of SH Figure Arts, and we're here to stay, and here's our talent, here's what we can deliver for the price point. And we'll hopefully make things better to convey to liaison figures like Killzone or Spicy Psyduck. Because that'd be nice. Because, yeah, if old Bruce left and Fig Trove disbanded, then I'm like, then we can kind of do away with the title of Fig Trove, right? And unless you guys are going to come up with a second designer team with their own name, then I guess we kind of have to get rid of LPZZ. If I was like the head honcho over at UPF, I would be like, yeah, my OCD would be like, okay, let's get rid of LPZZ. It's a shame. It's the name that we started with, but we got to keep things simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Kiss. That's the old saying from a business standpoint. And while we're on the topic of optics, I'll admit, and this is my own personal take, no confirmation, no facts, no truth, just my own personal opinion and speculation. But I personally don't think that it's the most favorable of optics. If anything, because if people are wondering like, what's going on at UPF? What's going on at UPF? After looking into it and seeing how, at the end of the day, as Kaiju Daddy mentioned in his stream, that it's kind of a nothing burger, but yes, but no. It's like a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B of it being a nothing burger versus being a something burger. If anything, the optics just look a little questionable on old Bruce himself or herself. I'm imagining it's himself, rather than UPF as a company. Because if he was at InArt because he was at InArt working on the 112 stuff, because he's the one that designed their Christian Bale Batman, I believe. And looking at the timetable of things like that, the turnaround for Christian Bale Batman was like from 2023 to 2024, and then maybe the first few months of 2025 when it was finally mass released to the point where you can go into comic book shops here in the States and easily find them. He's going to be marked up, but you can find them. I mean, how long of an employment is that? Like what, a year and some change? And then you leave, go over to UPF. You're there for, I think, under a year this time, and then you leave again? Like I said, to me personally, you're hiring, someone brings you a resume and they have a bunch of work experience, but then you look closely and you notice that each passage of a work experience, they're there for like a few months, a year and 2 months, 7 months, 9 months. You're like, okay, what's happening here? You know what I'm saying? You start to look at the candidate a little more suspect-like, versus someone who brings a resume that only has one piece of work experience, but they've been there for like 10, 15 years. That means that something must have stuck. Some people were saying that Mattel must have poached old Bruce for the collector line. Damn. And again, the optics, that would still make the optics not look that great on Old Bruce's part, because you're working with tools and with a team that is smaller but much more intimate, much more fan based, prosumer tier, like I mentioned. And you go to, let's face it, a corporation, corpos of corpos, when it comes to action figure lines like Mattel. What does that say about you? I'm sorry, but I'm looking at and again, some people were saying, I would take that as here speak. I won't say that. I won't say that that's like, that's definitely the same, on the same level of speculation as I'm doing, where there's no fact, there's no substantial evidence of that, but you know, that it's still in that phase where we can't rule it out. If later down the line we find out that old Bruce, whoever they are, is at Mattel now, I'll be like, man, fuck you, dude. Because, yeah, that to me, just like I said, it's staunchy. It's very staunchy optics. And it's unfortunate. But I'm hoping that Mighty Edward, Obito, and all of the design team and the talent over at LPZ will still deliver. Especially when I've mentioned, when it comes to the LPZZ figures that I own so far, which is so far 4, the ones that have stuck the landing are actually the Arkham stuff, which is the LPZZ team and not the Old Bruce team. And so far, the Old Bruce team are delivering the figures that I have probably more problems with, whether it be with some things on the figure themselves or with value proposition. So, and it has me looking forward to the Arkham Knight figure much more. Well, Pack Rat, if he's jumping this quickly, then he was very likely a freelancer and not exclusive. So it's one of those things where, like, from a contractual sense, if he was like a freelancer, then legally or technically he's in the clear. But that's why I keep saying, for me personally, from an ethics standpoint, it just kind of like feels weird. Because if you were working with InArt and doing something as cool as that Christian Bale Batman, I mean, why so quick to jump? And that first jump is one that we are able to look at and go, okay, you know, maybe LPZZ provided better opportunities. That's great. That we almost can't really look at that first jump. It's really about the second jump from LPZZ to then leave. Sorry, bumped the mic. That's the one that I'm looking suspect. Jumping from InArt to LPZZ, not really. Especially if he was in fact freelancing. That makes total sense. Total sense. Don't blame him whatsoever. That's how it works. But if now he's leaving LPZZ again, especially when you had already, and that's the thing with the freelance, is like, if you're freelance, then why would you set yourself up to design so many figures that are still being worked on? Like the Dawnbreaker and more figures out of the metal line. And again, the fact that those figures were getting delayed, and some other people also reporting QC problems on the Red Death and Batman Who Laughs, with like parts coming off. I've seen some posts on Reddit of people saying that, yeah, this thing's weird. I'm like, And even I have something, again, minor spoilers for my review of Red Death. I have a wrist joint that doesn't want to bend inwards and outwards, and I've already passed it for like 5 minutes under the hairdryer. It doesn't want to move. It's stuck. It rotates, but the hinge inside doesn't want to bend. And when I say rotates, it moves some degrees, but because of the way that the cuff is designed, it doesn't turn a whole 360. I can't remember the last time I said that a figure doesn't let me turn 360 wrists. I don't think I've ever said that. And the fact that Red Death is the first figure that does that to me, I'm like, Like I said, I might just be in the minority with Red Death. So, just warning people before they start going into the comments when that review eventually goes up. So basically, packed right. Like there's a lot of lines on the graph. Lines on the graph that are a lot of points on the graph that are forming a line. That's what I was kind of going out with that. All right, guys, as you can kind of hear, my voice is starting to run out, and we are hitting the 2-hour mark, or we have already hit it. So let's try to slightly breeze through this last topic here. Anonymous Throne, welcome to the stream. Love UPF LPZZ, but I gotta give the quality bar to InArt. I mean, I don't know. I don't have too many InArts on hand. I know that I don't know why. I'll leave it at that. I don't know why I'm not in the same space as others that already have it in hand. But we'll see. We'll see when I finally get things in hand, because right now the only 2 InArts that I have in hand are in fact quality. Sorry, it just dawned on me what I was about to say. I have more LPZZ UPF Find Yours in my collection than I do the InArt 112 scale figures. Both InArt figures were sent to me for review, free of charge, full disclaimer. But I'm getting more LPZZ at a frequent pace, 4 figures total with a 5th one on the way, as a general consumer than I am getting InArts free. Doesn't that like let you know the exact pacing? Like, look at the pacing or the workflow, the work speed. I only have 2 InArts that were sent to me directly from the company. I didn't buy, so there weren't any like delays in batches or whatever. But then with LPZZ UP Find Yours, I should just say UPF, but with UPF, every figure I've owned, I paid out of pocket. I pre-ordered through Toys Metaverse, and I have 4 already in my collection versus the 2 from InArt. So I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask when it comes to that quality. Anonymous Stone, I don't know what to tell you. Definitely one of those things that make you go home. Yeah, there's something going on. But for now, all we can do is really just wait and speculate until more information comes out. Much like recent leaks have come out for McFarlane toys. Because that's not going to stop me from talking about said leaks. It was posted by someone else before, but when it was posted by someone else whose name I didn't really remember, I was like, okay, this could be legit, but they're using an awful lot of graphics covering things up. Once I saw on Facebook that Axiom Figures posted this leak, gotta be honest, Axiom Figures, when they post something, it kind of becomes real, more or less. And either it becomes real right away or over the course of time. Like their batting average is generally pretty good. And this is a big one because within this list that is very eloquently put together with complete neon headliners here and put in this kind of like spreadsheet design, we have an opening banger here that will make a lot of people happy, finally, once and for all. Gentlemen, we might finally get Absolute Batman from McFarlane Toys. Within this bracket named DC Multiverse, which has me speculate this is strictly just the single card releases, Absolute Batman 7-inch, followed by the Absolute versions of Superman, Wonder Woman, and oddly enough, Deathstroke to complete the wave. Kind of funny that Deathstroke is probably the only one that makes sense to put in a standard box that they could probably put as part of that wave, because if they were even to remotely get close to Absolute Joker or Bane or Killer Croc, those are mega figures. That's going to be a mega figure in its own giant box or as a vehicle of some kind. Absolute Killer Croc probably won't be even a mega figure. It'll be a vehicle. Like the way that he packs the Batmobiles, that's how he's going to have to pack absolute killer croc. Yeah, and that shit's gonna be like 70, $80 if he ever does it. It's not even in the leak list, but I'm just saying if he ever does it, that's how he's gonna have to do it. Mark my words. After that, some other 7-inch inclusions here in the standard card format. Bruce Wayne, it just says Batman. I don't know if that's like 89 Batman, so like a Michael Keaton with a tux or what have you. I have no idea what that is. Bruce Wayne Batman. It doesn't say Batman 89, so your guess is as good as mine. Batman Challengers of the Unknown. What does that look like? Oh, well, happy Pride Month. Okay. Back to the list. Yeah, Challenge of the Unknown, Batman 2005, which is curious because we already got the Batman Begins checked off. So what could this be? 2005. What other Batman came out in 2005? Besides Begins. I really can't think of anything, so that's why I'm like, I don't know. Batman Long Halloween. This is, I think, the second, possibly third time that we've seen Long Halloween Batman and Kryptonite Batman mentioned in this listing. Although a Kryptonite Batman, I believe, is like gonna be similar to the version, the Batman Beyond that came with the 2-pack with the Justice Lord Superman. So I want to say this is just gonna be a re-release of that. But the Long Halloween Batman with that artwork, that Dan Mora artwork, yeah, I would say. Or is it did Dan Mora do Long Halloween? Who did Halloween? Sorry. Oh no, I'm so sorry. That's the late great Tim Sale. My apologies. That was Tim Sale. My apologies. Oh, Dan Mora did the that cringe ass suit. No, yeah, because Tim Sale, he just passed away, didn't he? Yeah, 3 years ago. Well, 4 years ago. Oh, in about 4 days, it's actually going to be exactly 4 years since he passed away. 66 too. Like that was severe health issues, kidney failure. That's curious. 66. That's relatively young. Okay, so back to the list. That's it for the standard card. Now we are getting more page punchers. There is a Batman in there, Gotham Adventures number 31, along with the respective Joker from that series. Again, might as well pull it up. Let's see what that looks like. Wait, what is that? What was that called? Gotham Adventures number 31. Gotham Adventures number 31. Oh, so if it's kind of like New Adventures of Batman, but it's going to be in 7-inch. He's just going to repackage the animated stuff, isn't he? I don't know. Joker will probably be newish because I don't think he ever did a 7-inch Joker in the animated style. But the Batman, I can already tell he's just going to repaint the animated series 7-inch, the one with the terrible ass legs, isn't he? God damn it. Yeah, this one. If that's what he's doing, then yeah, easy out for him is to just take that animated series Batman from a few years ago, repaint him with the darker gray, the tanner skin on the mouth plate, and no yellow on the bat symbol. Call it a day. So if anything, the Joker's probably going to be the more enticing one because he'll be a little bit more brand new. If he's a 7-inch. Collector Edition Valzad. So we're getting a Michael B. Jordan Superman. Because a lot of people want him to actually be Val Zod Superman. That'd be dope, actually. I honestly do like that. But yeah, collector edition Val Zod, Star Sapphire, and Mary Shazam. Now, as cool as it is to see that Absolute Batman is becoming a bit more realistic, along with other incarnations of plenty more Batman, we naturally do have to get some typical McFarlane bullshit here in the middle in the form of theatrical edition Penguin and Batman and Batgirl from their respective movies. Batman Unmasked from Batman Returns, as I mentioned before, could have just been an accessory of the torn off Bruce Wayne head sculpt to just plop on. But of course, when I saw it that it wasn't in the package, I was like, get ready to pay another $35 for an extra head. Penguin TV show? Ooh, okay, so from the Penguin TV show, theatrical edition, so it's going to be the Colin Farrell from the Penguin show. Please don't just repaint or reissue the 2022 Penguin. Please give it a brand new lifelike head sculpt. New outfit. He's probably going to have that outfit. Not going to mention too much, but he has a very quintessential Penguin suit like at the end in that final episode. So he's probably going to have something like that. Wonder what accessories he'll come with. Minus the gun. Now that he can actually hold a gun with the 17 plus in the box. Maybe. Batgirl from Batman and Robin movie. We already got the Build-A-Figure, so this is probably going to be maybe like the ice suit. Or just a reissue. This might just be a Vault release as part of that new Vault labeling that he's got going on. And then this 2-pack, Batman vs. Ra's al Ghul Gold Label. Collector Edition 2-pack. What Ra's al Ghul are we talking about here? Is this Arkham? The only other Ra's al Ghul they've ever made that I can personally think of that's 7-inch DC Multiverse is Arkham Ra's al Ghul. Arkham City. Is that what this is? This is likely what this is. It's just a reissue. Kind of like how they've been doing with the Killer Croc Gotham Knight 2-pack, the Batman Who Laughs in Knight Armor with Merciless 2-pack that came out last year. It's probably a repackage of some kind like that. More Mortal Kombat figures. I'm sorry, I don't care. More spawns. There they are. And then we get a bit of a wrinkle. 2 wrinkles, honestly. 3. Most of which is good, but I have some concerns regarding 1. McFarlane Elite Edition. Possibly their last DC McFarlane Elite Edition that I didn't think would be possible. But lo and behold, an Elite Edition of Absolute Batman. So not only an affordable market version of the 7-inch version, that's probably him in like a standard suit, but then an Elite Edition that's likely going to come with that axe, bigger pieces for the cape, other accessories that he's got in the comics, alternate head sculpt to unmask him, those gold pieces, because I know like his suit gets kind of changed up to then have like the gold pieces or whatever. Elite Edition Absolute Batman. That's definitely a good sign, but I'll wait and see what those initial reveals. And who's to say that this isn't exact? This definitely doesn't feel. Who can say that this isn't a very certifiable mic drop to close out your San Diego Comic-Con panel with? Just saying. Followed by another one that you can use as a mic dropper. Clark Kent from 1978 Superman, Elite Edition. Which means he might have alternated pieces to make him look like he's mid-transformation. The hat, the glasses, the newspaper, the coat that's molded to look like he's draping. Or better yet, a felt good coat, the trench coat that he can put on. Kind of like the one that you were able to put on that Page Puncher Joker. Phone booth that he can go in if you already have the collector's edition to make it look like he's transforming. That sounds very Elite Edition-esque that I can look at and go, that could sell. That could sell. Along here, another entry in the Image Comic Founder series, Sarah Pizzini from Witchblade. So he's going to keep that line going. But then finally, boy, we finally got our first sign of the God of War stuff from that Sony deal they made at the beginning of the year. Elite Edition Kratos from God of War Ragnarok, as put in parentheses. This is the Ragnarok version of Kratos. So the beard, he's probably going to have that thing on his arm, the axe, some extra pelts around the garments down here, and Elite Edition, so he's probably going to come with like a Mimir piece that you can maybe take off and on. A couple of the other weapons that he utilizes in the game, including the Blades of Chaos. Spoilers for 2018 God of War, but why wouldn't you throw that in? Now, subsequently, if you want to go for a much more pared down version of Kratos, McFarlane Gaming Edition, not Elite, Kratos from the Greek era. So the goatee one that was yelling a lot in the original God of War trilogy, and to pair him off with Zeus from the Greek era, specifically God of War 3. Wave 2 right there. And then the rest is more Fallout stuff from the... Is it from the show? Actually, no, it's not from the show. It's from New Vegas and Fallout 4. Nick Valentine, Scorched, Sierra NCR, NCR Ranger, T-45 armor. So mostly New Vegas, but with Nick Valentine from Fallout 4. Another settlement needs your help. Peg warmer. I'm sorry. A lot of people, a lot of gamers hate him. Gotta be honest, I am intrigued by the Kratos stuff. So I'm gonna have to seize. And if anything, if there was, like I said, a time to really deliver on showing off their first crumbs of these figures with like at the very most 3D renders, or at the very least, I should say, very least 3D renders, it would be San Diego Comic-Con. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these stuff show off. And if anything, I'll probably put together like a bingo card of what could be shown off at San Diego Comic-Con out of these things right here. I gotta be honest, this is actually a pretty chunky leak list that I'm mostly happy with. Like I said, the only thing that genuinely kind of pissed me off was seeing that they did in fact go through with what I was skeptical of, and they did, which is the goddamn theatrical edition Batman Returns with the alternate head sculpt that they could have just tossed in as an accessory, and they didn't. And also the Elite Edition Clark Kent, like I said, I guess there could be enough there to warrant an Elite Edition, but at the same time, for people that want Christopher Reeve Superman, I guess there's options out there, because you have the initial release, and then they did a second release with it as part of the Deluxe Theatrical Edition, so I guess at that point he's like, let's do something a little bit different. So I can't harp on it too much. Like I said, I'm more pissed off about the Returns Unmasked Keaton thing, but we'll see. Todd Fowler going out with an absolute bang. Uncle, we need a review of those God of War figures day one, especially after God of War 2027. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, if there was one event coming up here that makes sense to show off some of this stuff in the leak list, especially when it's brought forth by Axiom Figures that's kind of got a good batting average, it would be Comic-Con. It really would be. Okay, guys. I went on way longer than I needed to. This was a pretty hefty chunk, but we did have quite a lot of stuff to talk about. But as usual, it's time to eat. I can feel my stomach grumbling, and also I'm losing my voice. So appreciate you guys for sticking through, and we managed to make it all the way through the topics, all the necessary topics that were part of the keep, and I'm thankful for. And there's definitely quite a bit here that, apart from the DC Mattel stuff that I'm working on, along with the Red Death review, because I am working on LPZZ's Red Death review, or UPF's Red Death review. I also got something else in from Toys Metaverse from a company called DB Toys. That's Spider-Man related, so that'll be interesting to tackle. But to kind of hold you guys over, I definitely feel like I can splice out some of these topics here as their own videos, especially the UPF one and see how that does. So, yeah. Apart from that, though, there's not much else for me to really say except to thank you guys in the chat: Packrat, CM Bronx, Skelly Bones, Anonymous Throne, Brian's New Dishwasher. Who else was here? What's a new name? The Foonie Man, Blackout Mike, JM Herrera. And I think that was really about it. I expect more of you next time. Only because it's summer, so I'm expecting summer to make things a bit more lax for people who still go to school, but then again, work still treks on, so who knows. But otherwise, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, stay humble. Look out for the Mattel DC Core most of Wave 1 figure review, possibly tomorrow. Maybe Sunday, but likely tomorrow. Because I actually feel like I'm ahead enough that I can actually get it up by tomorrow. Pause. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Stay humble. And I'll see you guys later.